Hi guys, this is Ting here. So today we're going to talk about a stock called C Limited. As you can see, the recent price action has been quite raw for the investor. So the price of the C is currently trading at around $87 to $88, which is down from the peak of $197, which is represent around a 50% drop. So C stock price peaked around September, and it has been going through quite a few months of drop until today. So today we are going to look at the year 2025 full year financial report and see whether this stock is worth holding. So stay tuned. Firstly, we want to look at the revenue of C. So we can see that actually C's GAAP revenue increased by 36.4% to 22.9 billion. So from the 16.8 billion on 2024. So this is a 36.4% increase. It's a very robust increase. So C has three segments. The first segment is the e-commerce platform Shopee. The Shopee's revenue has been increasing by 33.9%. It's primarily driven by the growth of GMV, which is the gross merchandise value. And it means that more people are buying at the platform. Then the second segment is the fintech segment called Monee. The GAAP revenue of fintech segment increased by 60.1%, primarily driven by the growth of credit business and increase in the lending activities. The third segment is the gaming segment called Garena. The revenue has been increased by 26.1%. This is primarily due to the increase in the active user base and deepening of a paying user. So previously we see that the revenue across all the segment has been increasing. We also want to know that actually all this revenue has been translated into the income of C Limited. So looking at Shopee, the earnings, which is represented in EBITDA, earning before interest, tax, depreciation, amortization, was increased from 155 million to 880 million in 2025. The second segment called Money. The earnings, which is represented in EBITDA, has been increased to 1 billion. This is an improvement of 42.9% year over year. The third segment, which is the gaming segment called Garena, the earning, which is represented in EBITDA, has been increased to 1.7 billion, up 38.1% year over year. So we also like to know how each segment contribute to the overall profit of C. So basically, I have already listed out the numbers of how does each segment contribute to the C Limited's profit. So we can see that Garena actually contribute around half of C's earnings, which is around 47%. Then the second segment, which is the fintech segment, contribute around 29% of C's total earnings. And Shopee, although this segment has owned the largest revenue among all the segments, but it only contribute around 24% of C's earnings. Let's take a deeper look into Shopee. So Shopee's revenue has been increasing quarter over quarter and increase also in year over year's performance. There's one important metric to look at, which is Shopee's take rate. So the take rate means that the percentage of revenue Shopee able to extract from its gross merchandise value. In 2025, Shopee's gross merchandise value is around 127.6 billion. If we multiply with this 13% take rate, we reach a 16.6 billion here, which is the revenue of Shopee in 2025. So we also like to compare Shopee's take rate with competitor of similar segment like Mercado Libre and Amazon. Shopee's take rate is around 13 to 14% and is still growing. Mercado Libre's take rate is around 16 to 18%, while Amazon's take rate is around 45 to 50%. So it means that Shopee's take rate still have some room for improvement. So the company also came out with projection with Shopee's annual GMV will be growing around 25% year over year. So this is a very strong growth. And the earning, which is represented in EBITDA, is projected to be no lower than 2025 in absolute dollars. It means that the earnings in 2026 will stay flat compared to 2025. So I think this is one of the reasons that causing the correction of share price recently. Currently, we're going to see the most profitable segment in C, which is called the Garena. If we look at Garena's booking has been increased by 37.3% year over year. There are two important metrics for Garena segment, which is the quarterly active user and the quarterly paying user ratio. The quarterly active user ratio stay same for entire year of 2025, which is around 650 million plus minus, and the quarterly active user also stays same around 9.9% in year 2025. Garena has been highly relied on a game called Free Fire, and this game has remained popular for the last 8 years. The company is trying to making it to become a evergreen game. Garena tried to shift its gaming portfolio from Free Fire by introducing more new games such as Naruto Shippuden. The project starts in 2023, and the company acknowledged that it requires a longer development timeline for this project. So in this time, the company also tried to focus on smaller and short-term win. The management said they will remain committed on the long-term vision they had for this project. Free Fire has remained one of the largest mobile game in the world. It has achieved 2 consecutive years of booking growth of more than 30%, with 2025 booking nearly double compared to the record level on 2023. Garena also launched EA Sports FC Mobile in the Vietnamese version, and it has achieved an early strong performance by being the most downloaded mobile game in Vietnam. So we are looking at the third segment of C, which previously they named it the C money. There's two important metrics to look at. Firstly is the loan principal outstanding and the non-performing loan that is more than 90 days. So we can see that actually the loan principal outstanding has been increasing quarter over quarter. So it means that actually C is trying to expand its credit business by doing more lending. But doing more lending also comes with some credit risk, which is like the company may not be able to retrieve all the money that it borrowed. In the banking sector, they are tracking it with the NPL 90, which is the non-performing loan that's overdue for more than 90 days. So basically, the NPL 90 of Money has been staying around 1.1% even though the lending is increasing. So we're going to have a glimpse on how this metric is coming from. With different country, this metric could be different. For a country like Singapore, the NPL ratio is around 1.3%. So C is around 1.1%, so it's still considered healthy. Taiwan is extremely low, around 0.15 to 0.16%, while Philippines is around 3.1 to 3.5%. C's 1.1% seems healthy at a glance here. So in this statement, we also see that actually C has been provisioned for credit loss of around 1.36 billion. So this amount of money has already been recognized in the income statement by reducing a similar amount of 1.3 billion over here. And the provision has been increasing by 76% year over year compared to 2024. So in accounting terms, provision this will help to protect the company from future loan loss. If let's say the company not managed to retrieve the money that it borrowed, it can deduct this pool of money instead of directly recognize it in the earning and cause a earning shock. I think the shareholder has been pretty anticipating C doing a share buyback. So in the fourth quarter of 2025, we see that C would like to use 1 billion to do a share repurchase program. So currently they already spent around 14.5 million to do the share buyback, and they purchased around 116.2k of share. So if I do the math, I think C is spending an average around $124 to buy back the share. And currently the share price is around $80, which is quite less from the price they do the buyback. But I think this 14.5 million is still a very small amount in the 1 billion plan dimension. So we can see that inside the balance sheet, there's also a decrease around 14.5 million in the shareholders' equity. So this amount tally with the amount they used to do the share buyback. If we look at C's price to sales ratio, for the current price of $87, C's price to sales ratio is around 2.62, which is lower than the price to sales ratio of last few years of above 3 to 5. Although the 2.62 price to sales ratio is not as low as the 1.8 or 1.9 expected in early 2023 and 2024, I would say that the drop in price recently has making C become more fair value for the investor. So for technical analysis point of view, we see that actually there's a critical support level at this $87 to $88. This support line is drawn through the true over here, the peak over here, and the peak over here. So we also see that actually the SMA 200 line also passed through the $87 to $88 at this region. So if let's say C's share price drop more than this support level, we see that another support level is at around $56 or $55. So just a note that actually this technical analysis is just a reference for the investor. As an investor, I think that C's income and revenue growth in 2025 is quite impressive. So looking forward in 2026, I believe that C has a few growth drivers such that C Money is trying to expanding its lending business by growing the lending activity. As an investor, we also want to see whether the company able to maintain its non-performing loan while increasing its credit lending. For Shopee, the growth driver is the company expect to expand its gross merchandise value by 25% year over year. Although the growth looks pretty good, but we also want to address what investor is concerned is the company may use more of its excess earnings, invest in Shopee's infrastructure and giving more discounts to customer to maintain its market share. So Garena is the most profitable segment of C Limited. Garena has been heavily relying on one gaming title called Free Fire, and it dominates the revenue of Garena. Remember there's one incident that happened some time ago where India banned Free Fire of C Limited, and it caused the revenue and share price of C Limited to tumble. So as an investor, we would like to see the company venture into more new gaming titles to diversify from Free Fire as a main revenue stream, while trying to maintaining Free Fire as a evergreen game. As mentioned previously, the company is trying to maintain this Free Fire as the evergreen game, and the booking growth of last 2 years is more than 30% as mentioned in the previous part on the video. So that's all for the video today. If you guys like the content, please consider subscribe to the channel as it will help me a lot. Thank you, bye bye.